Hello friends! In this video I'll show you 3 trees whose bark you can harvest and eat in the winter. I'll show you how to identify and harvest them, and then we'll take them to the kitchen and make them into medicinal teas. I'll then do a live taste test to see how they turn out. Helping people learn about the amazing benefits of using wild plants as food and medicine is one of my favorite things to do. I'm so glad you're here to learn alongside me. We'll start with alder or alnus species. Around here we have red alder, but there are many species that grow throughout North America. Without leaves in the winter, alder is identified by its bark, buds, and catkins. Depending on the size of the tree and its age, the bark looks quite different. When the trees are young, their bark is a gray-brown color with lots of lenticels, which are these horizontal lines running parallel to each other around the tree. Larger, mature trees have striking gray and white dappled bark that can appear similar to birches or aspens from far away. Alder buds grow alternately and are a beautiful dusky pink color. They have 2 distinct bud scales that meet at a seam in the middle of the bud. The catkins are the easiest way to confirm your ID. The male catkins are dangly and look like hot dogs, and the female catkins look like mini pine cones. When ripe, the catkins are edible and high in protein. Today we are harvesting the inner bark of the alder for use in a tea that can alleviate stomach pain, general soreness, as well as reduce inflammation. Make sure that you dry the bark before using it because it can cause vomiting when it's raw. Bring a knife with you to harvest the bark. I broke a small branch off an alder sapling and stripped its bark using my knife. The inner bark can be hard to detach from the outer bark, so I just kept it all in one piece. As long as you are cutting through the green inner layer to the wood, you're getting the inner bark. Do not cut bark directly off the living tree. This exposes the tree to the possibility of disease or infection and can even kill it if you harvest too much from the main trunk. To make the tea, simply put a generous pinch of the dry bark into a strainer or straight into a cup and add boiling water. I let the tea steep for about 20 minutes, although 10 would probably be enough. Alright, it's time to try it.
That's not bad. It's a little bit bitter and it's kind of fresh and earthy.
Our next tree is black cottonwood, Populus trichocarpa, but you can use any Populus species. And true balsam poplar, or Populus balsamifera, is probably the best if you have access to it. All trees in the Populus, or poplar family, love water and grow in wet soils. Black cottonwood is identified by its bark and buds in the winter. Young trees have olive green bark on their trunks, and their branches and twigs are a rusty brown color. Medium-sized trees have relatively smooth, light gray bark. As they age, cottonwood bark cracks into deep fissures as the trees reach large diameters. Their buds are long and narrow and grow alternately along the stem. Simply squeezing a bud and smelling it will confirm your ID. Like balsam poplar, black cottonwood buds have a wonderfully sweet, slightly musky smell and are coated in a sticky resin. We are using the buds today to make a tea that can relieve respiratory congestion and is also just super tasty. The buds can also be used in a salve for soothing eczema, burns, cuts, and skin irritations. Your hands will get covered in the resin as you pick the buds. Fortunately, it smells amazing. To remove it, put olive oil or any other oil you like on your fingers and rub until the resin peels away. Then, if you like, rub the resinous oil into your skin like lotion. To make the tea, put a large pinch of buds into a strainer or straight into a cup. Pour the boiling water in and let it steep until the aroma is fragrant like the buds. Again, I steeped this tea for 20 minutes, but you can definitely experiment with shorter steep times.
It tastes a lot like how the buds smell. Just a very sweet but subtle flavor. I like it.
Birch trees, or Betula species, are also moisture loving. Different birch species are native across North America and are often found in wet areas or along riverbanks. We are looking at a paper birch today, although all birch species share relatively similar characteristics. Birches are fairly easy to identify and are most commonly confused with alder and aspen for their whitish bark. Birch bark has pronounced lenticels, which create that classic birch bark look. Depending on the species, birch bark peels off like paper to varying degrees. This paper birch has very peely bark, although it's a darker gray pink color than the classic pure white bark of some paper birches. There is definitely variety in bark color based on age or just specific tree, so looking for the peeling and the lenticels will help you. Like willow and alder, birch contains, you guessed it, salicin. So birch bark has many of the same medicinal uses as those two trees. The leaves and branches can be used in a tea for general pain and inflammation relief. I broke open the twigs of these branches to release more of the chemical compounds while the tea steeps. Add boiling water to your cup and let the tea steep for at least 20 minutes.
Has a faint wintergreen flavor, kind of tastes a little bit like how the fresh wood smells when you split it open. Not very bitter at all. It's good.
Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.